and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Download Queue, episode 58. Your new favorite place for all things video game news, video game talks, video game discussions. We are taking a break from journeying through the living lands this week for our last February show already, Kyle. We're
That's crazy.
a few days from March, and I don't like it.
That's crazy. Yeah, it is. March is right there. It's right there. That's time is flying by. That's for sure. But I'm not taking a break from being in the living lands, my friend. I'm still in the living lands.
God. Oh my god.
I know you looked away from the screen as soon as I did it. I was like, ah, shit, look back. Very
It's
easy.
on my phone. I saw it on the phone. How this man? I'm excited to get into the discussion later because it seems like you've done a 180 from when we first launch day of Avowed. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk.
How you been though? Everything good over on the West Coast over there?
Can't complain. It's 80 degrees today, and I hate it.
Hate it.
Yeah, I can't complain. It's February. I don't want it to be 80. I'm hot right now. All of a sudden, my office is hot, and I was like, shit. So no,
This
it
ain't right.
sucks.
God, it's like 50 over here. All the windows are open. It's like spring cleaning season right now.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I wish it was like that here. Not. But it's not bad, honestly. Can't complain.
Can't
But I can.
going to anyways.
When it's hot right now, yeah, I am going to complain. That's my fault.
As mentioned, this is the Download Queue, weekly gaming podcast for all things gaming, taking place each and every Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on twitch.tv/BadlandsBacklogs. We will be live on Spotify's, the Amazons, the Apples, everywhere else you get your music listening needs tomorrow morning, sometime, usually 8 o'clock. Follow us there, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a share, whatever it is. Helps us out in the end. It's going to be a more focused episode. One sort of news story. We've been playing some games together, and then hopping into our Avowed discussion at the end. Save that for the end. The big one. Would you like to start in the high seas? Would you like to start in the world of Marvel?
Wait, those are two separate things.
That's
I thought you were just teeing up Sea of Thieves and then you threw in Marvel. Threw me off. No, let's start with Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. Season 15 launched on the 20th, and it got Kyle the Dew back in, sailing, journeying for the ancient megalodons. My fishing journey has finally come full circle, and we were being respected in the game, and the community seems happy. How was your adventure back?
Yeah, so we jumped back in because of the new season, of course. Season 15, right? Hunter's Wild. Is that what it's
Wild
called?
Things.
Oh, I was wrong. The faction is what something like that. Whatever. Yeah, and I know you were a fan of it, so I said, "Let's do it. Let's hop in." And so that's why we did it initially, and it was fun. I enjoyed my time with it. The fishing, Sea of Thieves is so interesting with what this game is. There was like when we were playing, this season is focused on the fishing faction, and like what did we do for a chunk of that stream when we played? It was just sitting there fishing, right? And once I figured out the fishing, it wasn't the worst experience. It wasn't an awful type. Stardew Valley's fishing, horrible. Hate it. Can't stand it. I don't want to fish in that game. It makes me not want to. I
As
haven't figured it
someone
out.
who has all the fish, I agree.
Yeah, that's funny. This, I figured it out in Sea of Thieves, but it's not the most like active thing. But I was like, all right, whatever, it's fun. But once we got to the payoff, right, the megalodon. Also, before we even got to that one ship that got to us, that made us jump servers eventually because we just got destroyed by this person and whatnot. Like, man, what a unique little thing there. It's just the stuff that can just show up within Sea of Thieves. Very, very interesting. I think that's kind of that gameplay loop that you've talked about and kind of fallen in love with a little bit. That exposed itself more to me when we played this last week on this most recent update, and that was especially within they added 2 megalodons. We did one of them, the fire breathing one. And that fight was fun. It was it was long. It was a lot of just getting water out of the bottom of the ship and repairing it while you did a lot. I felt like you were running around doing a lot, and then I was just figuring it out.
You got
But
some
overall,
shots off.
it just yeah, it just became really. Once I started using the sniper on the megalodon, I was like, oh wait, this is my role right here. Fix the ship, get shots off with the sniper rifle. Loved it. So it clicked for me, and I can't wait to go back to the second megalodon. It's just fascinating how a game like this, a live service game, started how many years ago, and have an update that grabs me again and like kind of now I'm getting it. It's not something I think I would dump hours into, but to hop in and have a specific goal with a friend and say, "Hey, we're doing this tonight. That's the goal. Let's do it." Yeah, it's a excellent time. Very very fun.
Yeah, it's kind of what's special about it, really, and comparing it to, say, Destiny for you, where it is kind of they lock off content. This is the current stuff you need to focus on. This is just a living world, really, where everything's gradually added in. Nothing's ever really removed. It's just adding more random events or random features or locations or whatever, and they all just build upon each other in such a great way. Like you said with the ship that attacked us, that was, I think that's 2 seasons old now. That's fairly new still, but it's still something that a year ago was this frightening big thing, which, if you're not aware, it's like it starts out as a PvE ship, an NPC ship, and if you take it down, you can take it over along with other crews. I think like 3 other ships could join you on this one thing to become just a massive faction on in your server.
That's crazy.
It's got NPC skeletons helping you fight and do repairs. It shoots fireballs out the front of it. Just a massive thing. And now, still almost a year later, is still like a frightening thing to see that you need to kind of change your game plan around. It's just nice to see. It's not stuff doesn't get really phased out, which to some people is a negative thing because like the Megalodon loot that we got when we finished it is pretty much on par. It's just different skinned loot options from other things essentially. So when you reach a point where the money doesn't really matter or you're maxed out on rep, you kind of hit like a brick wall and it becomes more about the social features and the community around it and who you're running into, what happens then. Which still is enough for people. That's Sea of
Yeah,
Thieves
well, I mean,
streamers are that's a thing.
yeah, but even like the chase, you're just trying to do the various activities to get stuff, to sell stuff, to get money, to buy cosmetics. It's not buying a better gun, a better armor, a better ship. That's all it is. So it really is a game that is about the experience. And I don't know. I think it finally clicked for me. I get, I think more what the vision is and like the draw of it. It's definitely something I want to go back to again. I want to try it. Like I've only played with maximum 2 people. I would love to get us on one of the bigger ships and do more of that and just see that because once we were in the battle, especially I want to do a battle with ships with you because the megalodon we just that was pretty. It was circling us. We didn't have to do much, but I think with other ships, I remember doing the Pirates of the Caribbean Tall Tales, and I love ship battle. Going back to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, like I want to get more of that within Sea of Thieves because yeah, see now I'm just in it now. Like I get that little gameplay loop.
That's good because you could do that, right? Like I was telling you when we did the stream, like they have it so kind of feature shopping essentially now where you go to your tail, it's like, hey, do you have a ton of time to spend? Do you want to do one island mission? Do you want to do a small ship battle mission? Do you want to do a huge fleet that takes you to multiple places? Like, it's so catered to literally anything you could want to do. Where it's great because back in the day, it was the thing where it's like, damn, I only have like an hour and a half. I can't play Sea of Thieves right now. Like, it was a time commitment to kind of roll the dice on what you're going to be doing content wise, but now it's 40 minutes. Cool, hop on. You're able to knock out a mission still and still make that progression. Which kudos to them. Their live service stuff. If they brought back how you can work on old battle passes like other stuff now, I would say their live service structure for Sea of Thieves is almost perfect and should be kind of the format that other Xbox games should follow because they just nail it so well. Of their
Because they don't have battle passes, right?
yeah, yep.
Oh shit! Okay,
The
I gotta look
season
around a little
15
closer.
launched with the new one that's got a whole free thing. Every single level you get either cosmetics, titles, um, ancient coins, which is their premium currency, whatever, and then there is a premium track with other stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't looked at that at all, so I missed it. So hey, at the very least, it's not in your face.
Yeah, it's not, and it's still they with this season 15. I think it's season 8 or 9. A lot of the premium stuff from that track got added into just the in-game shops with this season, so they kind
Mhm.
of add backtrack in the old stuff for people that did miss it to get, just not all of it, obviously.
Yeah,
I love
that's
Sea of
cool.
Thieves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was fun. Again, hey, it's a brand new season that got us in, got new content. I had fun with that one battle, and yeah, it made me want to do more. So, shout out to that team over there. We'll see their next stuff at some point. But Sea of Thieves still rocking. Definitely go give it a try if you haven't yet, or if you have, go back to it, get some friends on it. I think there's some fun to be had in that game.
Yeah, and it's everywhere now. Literally, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. Go buy it. Go play it. Game Pass,
Yep.
whatever it is, it's there.
Switch 2 later this year.
Probably, probably. We're in March now. We're almost in March. We're a month away from that Nintendo Switch 2 showcase now. Things are heating up.
Yep. Yep. We got Pokemon next week, which we'll see how much Switch 2 stuff is tied to it outside of here's a new thing,
Yeah.
the new game.
Another game you'll probably expect on your Switch 2 day one. Marvel Rivals.
Who knows?
Should be unless more people get canned. Have had kind of a weird up and down week this week. A game that is, by all accounts, breaking sales numbers. A game that is, since December launch, has racked up $2.9 billion in gaming and services revenue, and more than 40 million players. Decided to do a round of layoffs, which immediately was met with a ton of backlash. If you saw when this first leaked, a lot of people, and the way it was presented was the main director was laid off along with a handful of his team. Later came out that it was more of a support studio situation, still owned by NetEase, based out of Seattle, I believe, correct?
Yeah,
Was
that's
the
fair.
was the ones laid off. And just still, if what the fuck are we doing? Excuse my language, but if arguably the biggest thing that's happened this past 6 months can't sustain slash wants to make more money by laying off staff slash cut spending places, what are we doing as an industry? What are we doing as gamers? This doesn't make any more sense.
Yeah.
It's no sense at all.
No, it's hard to. I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense in a cost-cutting manner when you need to, uh, yeah, make that budget make a little more sense for those shareholders. And when you have overseas studios, you're a Chinese. I think they're a Chinese-based company. They're not based in the U.S. At the very least. So when you have these studios that you own and operate overseas, oh yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Uh, Damn, no, it doesn't make sense when you look at what they deliver, something that is taken over, and literally the day that they are releasing two new characters, the Thing and the Human Torch, into Marvel Rivals, that's when this news broke that same day. And it was like, oh, that's really, really unfortunate. And it was definitely pitched a little differently at first when the news broke because the game director, who is probably the director of the studio in Seattle, right? It definitely felt like they meant the whole team, that like the main team of Rivals was cut, and it was like, holy shit, like what? Still bad because what they're doing is just saying, hey, we're gonna hire these studios wherever they are, and they're gonna deliver their thing. Cool, thank you, bye. Ooh, that's not good long term for any industry to have it be. I don't know, studios that are contracted in that type of way is odd, especially when it's not in a contract position. It is, hey, go make this game. You're gonna now be the studio behind. You're gonna help us make a Marvel IP game, which is an Overwatch clone, which is killing it. Right? Is just very, very good. And no, we're actually going to fire you now. It's really unfortunate. It's wild. It's just not what you want to see, and it's definitely not thinking people first. It's thinking about the bottom line in those account books, and sucks. Just really sucks.
Yeah, there's a report from Bloomberg on this shortly after that was posted, and it's really sounds like more of a NetEase issue. Um, which is wild considering how well Chinese developers have done the past year. Look at Black Myth Wukong, stuff like that for Game of the Year, like doing numbers. But Bloomberg, according to them, that this isn't the only cut they've done recently, and their CEO William Ding has done cuts to hundreds of jobs, closed numerous studios, and taken a firmer hand with the company's Japanese teams, including one that was led by former Ryuga Gotaku, aka Yakuza team studio heads Toshihiro Nagishi, as part of those cuts and layoffs as well. So it almost sounds like they're doing a whole restructure as far as where their gaming services are, which again doesn't make sense when you're doing this well. And then there's part of the report where it says that they almost canceled Rivals before it was released because they didn't want to pay licensing fees to Disney. Which I get, like Disney's a big company that wants a ton of money.
I was gonna say, like, I wanted to bring that up. Like, no matter how successful Marvel Rivals is, they still have to pay for the IP because, yeah, we saw those leaked things from Insomniac. I think it was like 300 million. I can only imagine what every almost just think of the catalog of characters Rivals has. What is that price tag, right? What is Marvel? I doubt it's. I don't know. I don't think it's a 1-to-1, obviously, but oof, is yeah, that's an interesting aspect of it for sure.
Yeah. There'll be, I'm curious looking at what they've said, what happens in the coming months. Um, reported internally, supposedly, that NetEase plans to divest from the majority of its overseas teams, which includes T Minus Zero Entertainment, founded by former BioWare Vice President Rich Vogel, and Fantastic Pixel Castle, which is making a modernized fantasy MMORPG under World of Warcraft and League of Legends veteran designer Greg Street. It's like they're kind of doing it Tencent way, where they're just acquired so many new studios by big veterans in the industry, but now they're no, we're good. We don't want to invest further in this, which I'm curious if there's I don't know whatever financial output they're looking at of cost compared to actual production, if it's not meeting up with whatever they want. But if that's the case, what would be if Rivals isn't enough for your $40 billion isn't enough, or $2.9 billion and 40 million players isn't enough in 4 months? What is, like, where are people happy, and where is the cutoff point as games continue to cost more and more to develop? Because it's not even a them thing, right? Like, we've seen it with Square the past year, where Final Fantasy 16 didn't meet expectations. Final Fantasy 7 Remake didn't reach expectations. Just continuously, game after game, fails to meet internal expectations, but still is held to high regard.
Yeah, well, I think when a company says it didn't meet sales expectations, that means most likely their expectations were too big. This is a fascinating topic. I do want to mention it's something like you should go listen to if you haven't, is Greg Miller and Matt Piscatella did a great conversation interview about the state of the industry, which we were kind of branching into, honestly, I felt like. And it goes over all that because I think it's not just Marvel Rivals, it's across the industry, and it's also in the world. The climate of the economy in the world right now is unsure, right? So, hey, tighten up, dead the weight. You can see studios doing that, and especially in a game like Marvel Rivals, the game is out. How much do you need, right? You know, you got it out the door, you polished it, and now you're doing character and balancing and that and upkeep. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but again, when you're a company and you see how they're not hiding how they operate, we all know what they're doing. It's cutthroat, and when you need to meet a budget, you need to get to a certain dollar limit and dollar price or whatever budget wise. This is what happens, and I think this is ultimately down to people at the top with the wrong expectations, the wrong them taking the wrong directions and the wrong takeaways from the industry in the past decade, right? Fortnite is a thing that is not able to be copied anymore, right? It is what it is, but studios that are still trying to follow beyond Fortnite, the live service model, are struggling. And I think, yeah, we're seeing that shift, and we'll see where that goes. But to get into that full conversation, go listen to that if you haven't too. It's a very, very fascinating interview, and Matt Piscatella has a ton of information. He just is very knowledgeable, and like I learned a ton from that, and I love shit like that.
Yeah, it's good. I'd have you mention that. I actually just started that this morning. I'm halfway through it, I think, as far as the interview goes. And it's something people should listen to because it's something that I feel answers a ton of questions that people always seem to have online in regards to stuff like this. But the way that it's usually presented is kind of the business side, and people don't want to either dig into or take the time to fully listen to when it's not presented in a podcast form or a fun YouTube video form, or the information's there, the answers are there, it's just not in a fun way and very upfront, straightforward, boring number stuff sort of thing.
And it definitely isn't because reading comprehension is down.
Education's great here, Kyle. Yeah, like you said, go check out that interview. I'm definitely finishing it tonight when I'm editing this our own show. So times are weird, but games are fun. Games are doing the thing they need to do for me, Kyle. But is it doing the thing they need to do with Avowed? Which is where we move into next. The biggest for the first quarter, I would say. We got 2 months now. We got a little break till the new releases start. The biggest Xbox title for 2025 so far is now out officially after a long journey. I still think back to the initial reveal trailer of this at E3, not E3, June showcase, not that far back. And I've mentioned before the roller coaster ride kind of how this game is. It appeared, it's gone for a while, it's back with a new coat of paint, and now we're here after a delay. Avowed from Obsidian is out. Top level thoughts, because I want to break this down into sort of groups so both of us don't go into our rambles we like to do with stuff. How has your time with Avowed been so far? How much you put in? Where are you at?
Yes. Yeah, I'm about 20 hours, just shy of that so far in. I've gotten to about I'm in the second region. I don't know, I would say not even close to halfway through exploring and doing the stuff within that region. Yeah, I remember either on Discord or I forget if we're on stream or whatnot, talking to you and saying, I don't know, something about Avowed which wasn't hitting after the first night. I played about 3 hours and then got up, got some water, and I didn't really want to keep playing that first night. I was like, I'm not going to force this. I'm just going to take a break. And I was like, that's crazy. You know, that's pretty crazy. That's unfortunate. I don't know. I couldn't really pinpoint why. I might have been tired, honestly, but I do think it does start slow. But as of right now, after that, putting in more than 3 hours, dude, this game's sick. This game is a ton of fun. The story is interesting. We'll talk more about that. But yeah, it starts slow, but now I get it, and I am into it, running around as a super fast guy, up my dexterity. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with the combat for sure, and the world itself. I think the world is beautiful. Level design and all that, stunning. So much grounded with all the routes going around the map. I'm like, look at you, Obsidian. Just look at you.
Yeah, um I'm only 10 hours in. That is wild here you got 20 so far on your end. Um yeah, I had very much this a similar sort of start where yeah, it was on Discord. We sent messages back and forth, and after that first night, 3.5 hours in, I looked back and Hannah asked me, she's like, "So what do you think so far?" And I just told her, I was like, I don't know. I was so pulled in so many directions after that initial start that I was kind of in the same place. I'm like, I'm not really in a rush to get back to this. Um, a lot of that is due to how I mentioned how I think back to when this game was revealed, and this has been, as far as content wise and coming into the podcast and reviewing quote unquote, this has been the hardest game I've had to look at so far because it fell into the realm of Kingdom Hearts 3 for me, where it had, in my mind, built up such high of expectations that it was never going to reach those. And I had to come back to it that second playthrough and sense, or the second time and since then, and really look at it differently and tone down what I'm expecting from this. And it's solid. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying everything I'm doing to varying degrees. I'm surprised by a lot going on. I'm surprised by the amount of traversal and sort of motion and just climbing and the different layers to regions you're in. I'm surprised by how in-depth combat can be. I'm surprised by just the scenery and landscapes they've done. Beautiful game across the board. Everywhere I look, I'm like, I want just background video of this or background screenshots like you have in your little window there. But yeah, it's gonna be hard placing this, I feel, at the end of the year for me as far as games looking ahead that far. Because it's gonna be something I need to return to and just keep coming back to and chipping away at.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's something special about it. It's funny that like we both had the same roll up. It's definitely, I think I saw a lot of similar sentiment in different reviews and people posting about it. It's kind of slow in the beginning, but I wanted to look up and make sure I remembered it correctly. The achievement you get when you step off from that first section is you've got it from here. And yeah, the game I chuckle because I'm like, Obsidian knows like, hey, hands off, you guys can now do whatever you want. You have quests, you know, we have a direction, we have our story. It's not a wide open scope. There is direction in the story to go, but like, hey, you've got it from here and you're good to go. And it does drop you off. And I think that was where kind of was like, all right, let me, that's my issue with open world games in general, is the sense of what do I do now? And if the story hasn't hooked me or the gameplay or the activities haven't, I struggle with open world games. But so at the beginning, I think that's what it was, and I didn't figure out the combat for a little bit. I didn't find something I liked, but once you started upgrading and got into it, yeah, the flow really got there. I would say honestly, once I came back after the first 3-4 hours I played, it clicked after that second playthrough and discovering the world, and it just a beautiful thing. And what they achieved with Unreal Engine 5, I'm not sure if you looked at or watched Digital Foundry's breakdown of it, but what they do with Unreal 5 and the nanites and how they're leveraging the different systems and not just like, I mean, and there's like craft and artistry behind what they're doing, it sounds like, and it's fascinating. The nanites, which, like when you get pop in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead, like, it just is like no pop in. It just gets more detailed, and it's like that's Unreal 5, but they're also mixing different systems with Lumen and ray tracing, and it's fascinating, very fascinating what they did to get this game to work, not only on Series X, but what they can do on PC, but also Series S. Like the comparisons, I haven't played on my Series S. I now want to because I just watched that Digital Foundry breakdown. What they did is like really interesting of like how to get it to work on the Series S and still run.
Yeah, I have not looked at. I've never been a Digital Foundry person. Just again, that stuff is so far over my head of knowledge. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Doesn't mean anything to me, not really.
Explain it. Okay.
So yeah, Avowed, as you said, that first area, you get your tutorial section before that first achievement. Um, you are again, this is a continuation slash spin-off of the Pillars of Eternity universe. So lore and stuff is mostly established. You are I can't say Adiran envoy for
Adiran.
envoy. You're journeying to the Living Lands. Ship crashes. You are left on an island, kind of as a tutorial explaining combat, dialogue, all that stuff to you before you make it to the main continent, the Living Lands, if you want to call it that. That is under attack from a Dream Scourge. There is paladin group there, another faction trying to do more malicial control of things that are happening, and you're just kind of sent off on your own to kind of piece together what's happening, what Dream Scourge is, how to stop it, while you yourself are godlike, god touched, and have essentially been literally touched by a god in the universe, given some sort of deformity that you've probably seen in the marketing, seen on the front cover box, and sent out on your own. Which for me, it's a balance of I enjoy what I'm doing. I love the idea that you are an expected person in this world. You are people know that you are sent here to investigate things, and it gives you kind of a base setting for your character no matter how you create them. Um People know who you are, people are expecting you, so it's not just like, oh, you're just a random traveler here to solve our problems. Most people have had word of you being an established figure in this world, which I really appreciate. Um, to go along with that for the world building and just everything happening, I don't know why this isn't just industry standard. They do the Final Fantasy 16 thing where every dialogue discussion you are in has the in-game glossary for you on the side, so you can pull up certain phrases, which I'm
I
doing
like
the
how they
most.
do it way better here, though. Sorry.
Oh no, it's perfect. Yeah,
Interrupt.
it doesn't pull you out of the to a separate menu. It's right there. But this more than ever, I feel is needed because of how much is established already, which for me right now feels almost overwhelming. There is a lot that I'm feel like I'm missing or stuff that's kind of going past over my head that I'm not fully getting as far as the main story goes. But it's a solid baseline to build this over narrative off of for your character being custom design a character mute thing going on.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I love the lore stuff they're doing. I said this before too. I was hoping for depth because they have so much to pull off of before this came out, and yeah, they do. There's a lot of lore and a lot of referencing, and one of your or someone mentions Dreadfire, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the game. That's on Game Pass, and like, yeah, Pillars of Eternity, Dreadfire, and it's like, oh my god, that's probably the events he's talking about, and like, that's cool. It makes me want to go and play those, though I probably wouldn't get too far in them. So it's like stuff like that where they're obviously tying back to something is helpful to let the world breathe. And hey, they had that assist, right? They didn't have to come up with stuff from scratch. So there's depth that's just right there. So that's what I wanted, and they achieved that, and that's awesome. Um, what else you want to talk about with this?
Uh
You said you.
yeah, no,
Where do you want to take it?
want to go off of a Twitter reply we got for our show for the next section from
Wow.
F Bomb Gaming. Love that name. Said he's really enjoying it. Combat is a lot faster than he thought it was going to be, and it's brilliant how you are not locked into any sort of build. If you want to be tanky dual pistol wielding boss with high mana and spellbook, you can. How have you been playing so far? The game gives you two, which I love as well, two kind of default loadouts you can switch between on the fly with a button press. So you can really, like he said, build two different entire classes and switch between them at freely, which is I like the idea of. I haven't used it a whole lot myself, but
Yeah, and not necessarily classes, but just a loadout, right?
yep.
So what I have ended up doing right now, and in the beginning, I definitely I had like an axe and a simple shield. And then my other loadout I would just mess with. I would have 2 wands, a spear, and a sword. I would just try different weapons with that one while sticking with a sword and an axe that I just happened to level up early on. Now I have fallen into a unique shield that does something that I don't really care about, but gives me more stamina as well. And then a sword that catches on fire, so I do fire damage, and then it heals me with every enemy death a little bit, 5%. So it's like, all right, I landed on that sword and shield. So exciting. That's how I played Veilguard. No, okay, that sucks. I'm looking at the abilities. I'm like, oh man, like, I mean, I spec'd into Ranger for the parry, for the evasiveness. I up my dexterity, so I'm like running around fast. Like, I'm more spec'd into Ranger. But I then figured out you can drop ability points in any of those trees. Ranger, fighter, wizard, you can drop them anywhere. So I started putting points into wand and into the grimoire book. I've respec'd a couple times, fixing little mistakes like I don't need to do damage when I slide into people. Not worth. I don't do that enough, right? So I'm respecing. I love that, but yeah, right now I have a wand that does lightning damage. So I get them to start popping off lightning between people because once you do enough of that damage, they have a status effect. I have an axe shield or an ice axe. That was hard to say. So then I'm doing frost damage to them, and I pop out my fire shield to finish them off. It's a nice little flow. I get magic, and then I do frost and fire damage in the loadout. A great time. That's kind of how I landed on it. I do want to do more with spells. I think that looks a lot of fun, but we'll see if I get back to that. It's hard to move off of a sword that lights enemies on fire and heals you with each death, and a shield for the parry. It's hard to move off of that, which I'm bummed about. But that second loadout, clutch, because I'm not just doing a sword and shield like I did in another RPG and like I've done in Elden Ring, right? Like not just that, I have the ability to press Y and boom, I'm playing a little differently now. And now I can't stand there and take a hit. I got to dodge. That's how I'm playing. How are you? What did you end up in?
I think I have the exact same sword that you have. Except
I saw a couple people post it and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
just like it's Outer Worlds, you know. There's not like randomized loot. It's they put that gun, they put that sword there, and yeah, anyone can find it. But that's where that sword is.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm first one. I'm running that sword with electrifying pistol. I found. So I got sword left hand, pistol in the right, and then my second loadout, I do have spell book and a wand, basic, but it's fun to experiment with. Um, I really like the way they handle spell casting in this game. Where at first, when you're starting, think about it in the sense of, cool, you're like a novice mage, you're a novice magician type thing. So you need the book to cast spells. As you level up, you can put spell points into, if you really like the ice spear move, you can put a spell point in that and just have it as an ability where you don't need the spell book anymore. So you can kind of branch out your spells that way and not rely on books that much. Where I saw someone who was just dual wielding wands, shooting like explosions out and just having a ball. But it's a unique way of doing it that I really like, because it does let you, as you said with the skill tree, it's small money dump to respec or whatever. But if you want to go full mage, you can do that. If you want to spread points out across the 4 different trees, whatever, you can really make a hybrid for almost every situation. Um, Going back to that sword, the gear and equipment so far is something that I've had to grow into. I'm not really a fan of, as I said, the Outer World style they're doing, where you have a common dagger, common sword, common gun, whatever, and it relies really heavily on unique items. They're in kind of the color tinted RPG level of things. They're your gold tinted items, your named items that have bonus effects, bonus enchants, bonus things going on, and that's really what they're relying on you to find and build your classes onto. Which I like, but for me personally, it takes away kind of that natural sense of progression of oh, you found a common dagger, and now you find a slightly better one, and build up as you journey. This, it's we've all found that sword very early, and now you're just pumping upgrades and enchants into that one sword, keeping it if you want. And yeah, you're getting upgrades from it, you're getting stat increases from it, but it's the visual side of things where it's like, oh, I got a slightly cooler looking sword now, like, which like it's a niche thing. It's not a lot of people. I haven't seen anyone else complain about it, but for my background, I like seeing that natural progression for my character. Sort of
Yeah, which
line.
I will say once you get, I don't know, are you only in the first region?
I'm in the second. I'm
Okay, because I had a similar thing, but I have found myself finding better gear more so within the second region, and most of that is upgrade materials. But I am finding more blue gear items. So I feel like the system for upgrading and crafting and like it's something that is simple. It's straightforward, right? You get the materials you need, you upgrade it, and yeah, there's different weapon types, and you can. There's just no need to collect a bunch of weapons. You just break them down right away, unless you were wanting to upgrade a spear all the way up if you didn't find one. But that's like early on. But it's something I don't think you have to invest time in, and I can be okay with that, right? It works. It's straightforward. All right, that's how it is. Like I think personally, I don't find any too much issue with it. I just think it was definitely is a choice. There's a lot of choices in this game, and it all comes down to scope, right?
yeah, it's a small thing to even like bring up as far as complaints or whatever go, but more often than not, I'm not someone who I'm not going to respec. Like I said, I'm in the second area now with you. I'm not going to respec and kind of start over again. So unless I do come across a new pistol or a new one-handed sword, like I will be using these for the foreseeable future type thing, which again, they work. It fits my playstyle right now. I'm really enjoying going in with the flaming sword combo as soon as they attack, parry or dodge backwards with the pistol and fire a shot off. Like it's working for me. Um, I don't know. I just would like better overall gear representation because even stuff like rings and stuff, um, I haven't really noticed a difference with. Like I've been equipping different ones, seeing if I can notice or feel kind of the stat differences in them and my armor, and it's not really noticeable for me, I guess. So it's more kind of the flavor of how you want to play. So I have one I found in the first area that increases money found, I think, by like 25%. So I'm just keeping that on just for
Mm.
like quality of life for me, essentially, where I have some that are, oh, more health, more stamina, whatever, but I'll take the
Oh
money
yeah,
for
see,
that.
I
I
have
don't really
like
notice.
I think all of my stuff I have on are like +1 or +2 to 1 or 2 stats. So all of a sudden my resolve is way better. I'm buying dexterity and perception, but my resolve and intellect and might are up because I have rings and ambulance, and I think my chess piece also does that. So I don't even think I have that money one, which is fascinating. I don't think I read one of those ones yet, so I haven't even come
Head to the
across that.
shanty town in the first area.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, I don't need it. I'm happy with what I'd rather have my dexterity and my resolve so I can talk.
How
But yeah, I do think the gear. Like, I have a unique chess piece that I found. I haven't upgraded it yet to unique. So it starts like common, gray, blue, purple, yellow. I think is the next one. I haven't even got it to the blue tier because it the special ability is like when I get to 30% health, I do a barbaric shout, I think it's called. And it's like, cool. I just don't, like you said, I don't notice it doing anything when I do get low in health. I don't notice it. It's not something I want to keep using, but I haven't got another armor piece that's worth it. And I guess I should have been upgrading it, but I was just waiting for a unique one. I think I found Arcanist robes and I was like, and it was like all essence based. And I was like, I just don't need essence. Like, I want armor. And all the things I'm finding are like ruining my stamina. And I'm like, so maybe I actually should be updating or upgrading stuff. But I do think the gear, like I said, it's simple, it's straightforward. It's not something like you're going to be like devoting a ton of time to, which again, I think is okay. But yeah, I worry hitting the same limitations you were kind of talking about with the same thing over and over, right? Especially me going back to Veilguard. I played Sword and Shield that whole game and had a blast, but man, 2 RPGs in a row, that's unfortunate.
I will say I don't know how much you've explored with it or how much you found. Uh, a way to counteract that of what I've said, where I lose the sense of progression and upgrades with stuff, or they have totems in the game that you can find, and each one has I think like 6 pieces that are missing fragments you can find around the world, and you place those at your camp, which is a whole other system I have issues with. Uh, place those at your camp, and as you find fragments, those add passive buffs to your character. That I found to be more worthwhile to go out and do. I have one. It looks like a set of scales on, and I found a fragment for that that's similar to your shout you do. When I get picked up, or your second life chance you have in battles, I summon like a ring of fire around me. So if anyone's still around me trying to do damage, it just instantly lights everyone on fire, instantly starts doing tick damage. That stuff feels really good. That stuff I've been uh actively looking for. There's one of the shopkeepers I found had a map that gave like riddles to the fragments. It doesn't actually show them in your map, but it gives kind of hints of
That's where that is. Okay. Gee, I have that quest and it's just optional find things, and I found 3 of them, but I can't. I was like, I do not know who to go to.
Yeah.
I went back to Dawn Shore to figure it out, and I was like, I'm moving back on. Like I don't know where to go. I got 3 of them at least, but all right, a shopkeeper.
Check your shops.
I'll go
Again,
look through some shops.
it won't tell
go
you.
buy
It'll
some
be
stuff.
very like riddles and clues. It's not gonna pop it on your map. So you still
that's fine. That's fine. That I have nothing though. So, and I wander the map long enough. I'm like, these are hidden. I need a little more assistance.
Yeah,
that totem system. Once because like I saw it on the quest and like I couldn't find the optional thing, so I was like, whatever. But once I clicked into the statue and saw like these totems are actually buffs that you can activate, and there's each region. I assume each region will have one. So I have 2 right now, and I only have 1 totem. I only have 1 piece for the second region one. So you can choose. You have to choose which one to do. Oh, this is really fascinating. I need more pieces, for sure.
With those totems being at your camp, your upgrades and everything we've been talking about, as far as your weapon upgrades and enchantments and all that, it takes place at stationary camps. There's multiple areas around the world you can fast travel to. Takes your game kind of similar to Baldur's Gate 3 style, where it's it's your cooldown period at night. Spend time doing stuff, talking to companions. It's again, like you said, it's a choice. It's based off scope. It's a choice where you are kind of forced to travel back to other areas to do this. You can't upgrade stuff on the fly. You can break stuff down, but you're kind of forced to continuously return to camp to do enchants, do upgrades, do companion talks, which are again another source of buffs. I don't know if you've had this, but I've had my relationship with Kai increased, where he did like a training session. And I got 2+ constitution with him just for being buddies, I guess. I don't know. Which
he did some training.
Yeah, I wish that was kind of reworked. It feels very off to I made a bunch of progress. I've leveled up twice. I've done all my skill points wherever I want. I've done my companion skill points, upgraded them on the fly, but now for physical upgrades, I need to kind of go back to camp, reset myself, and restart from a new starting point, which to me is kind of off-putting so far. But
I disagree. I think the way you just described it sounds a nice little loop, and that's kind of how I fell into that. You go explore and do some stuff, and half the time I'd stumble onto another one, and by that point I'm like, hey, I should rest right now anyways and see if I can upgrade stuff. But I also hit a wall with upgrading anyways, where I wasn't doing it as much. So if I ever went back, I felt like I was going back to camp more at the beginning, but once farther in, I'm like, it's not that big a deal, and I'm using it to fast travel to other places. but you also can, when you enter your party, when you leave, you can exit to the location you came from. So if you were in a dungeon doing some stuff right outside of that and you're like, let me upgrade, you can go upgrade and then you can exit to that place where you fast traveled from. So yeah, you have to travel all the way over there and do that, but yeah, you can just go right back in there. And I've did that a couple times with like, oh, you know what, like this bounty, it's too hard. Like there are 3 skulls and I know I can get it, but let me go upgrade. Like keeps popping up, upgrade your things. And I go back and upgrade. All right, go back, exit the last location, and boom, I end up getting the bounty there because I was able to upgrade my sword 3 times. I figured out you can craft materials as well. Not just you have to find them, you can craft them as well. So that's nice.
That's big help.
So yeah, was able to do that. But yeah, I think the party system definitely Baldur's Gate-esque, and I like it. I think for me it's been a nice breakup. It's to me there's not enough to do, so it feels a little like all right, but overall I do not have the same issue with it as you do.
With the party system and companions, how are you with the companions so far? Are you enjoying them? Because that's another thing I've seen online. A lot of people feel they're kind of just NPC A, B, and C that are following you around.
Kai says some out of pocket stuff, which is hilarious. Yeah, just like I posted one where we're talking to this girl and she says something about height, and then your dwarf friend's like, "Hey," and then you walk away. Kai's like, I have something that's a couple inches if she changes her mind. It's like, dude, you can't. What the hell, man? She's like, right over there. Calm down, Kai. You weren't even talking in the conversation. Jesus. Yeah. So I'm enjoying the humor every now and then. It pokes through. I don't need you to tell me. They love to tell you stuff like over here, or just I'm like, Kai, shut up. Like I get it. But that's any NPC in video games. I think that's fun. I don't know the second one you get, Marius. I don't know his name, like
Marius,
off the top of my head. Marius, there it is. I just feel like you haven't got enough of him yet, and I'm 20 hours in doing a lot of the side stuff. I haven't progressed the main story too much in the second region, so maybe more happens with him. But I got a side quest for Kai, a companion quest for Kai already, so that's one. Marius hasn't happened yet, and I'm like, are there other companions? Because when do they come in? Is it really more story based? And yeah, I have no idea. So I guess it could be a little lacking. I'm not feeling that so far. I do feel like in combat, managing them is annoying. I don't. I also don't love Marius's abilities, mostly because I also have a similar ability when I respect into Ranger first.
But yeah, vines.
I do. Yeah, I get why people might not vibe fully with the companions, but honestly, I get it with the story too. Like, I guess, but that's not also what these games are. People want more with the companions, but I feel like we don't know these people and we got to get to know them. So if the payoff is there, we'll get there. But I'm surprised I've only had one companion quest, and it just hasn't seemed to progress beyond the initial section, especially with. Have you got Marius?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to, like, by that point. Their interaction, because they know each other, is interesting, right? And you get tidbits of that, but it hits a point where you just don't get updates, and maybe I haven't done the right quest somewhere in the world or done the story, progressed the main story far enough where we get more advancements. But yeah, I feel like there is a break between these people getting to know me and like I'm actually getting to know them. It's just like a secondary thing that is happening as I do the game, as I explore the world.
Yeah, that's
which goes to what the developer said about romances. She did Carrie Patel talked about how there's no romancing options in this game. Like, that's not the point. And like the way she described it, I'm gonna look this up so I get the quote right after this, but essentially saying that you just wanted to be more real. Like, you have to get to know people. It's not just if I talk enough, they're gonna go to bed with me or be my best friend now. It's like it sounds like they wanted to be a little more realistic with it. So that probably is why this feels this way. We don't know these people. We just got to this continent. We got to get to know them. So by the end of the game, we get to know them and they come out of their shell and they have decent enough stories, cool. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people didn't vibe with the companions, so we'll see if this lands for me.
Yeah, it's the video you mentioned you posted online. I saw that at night when you posted it, and then I came across that exact same thing the next morning. I was like, holy shit. Which is it goes back to where I said a lot of what happens in this game surprises me. And I'm pleasantly surprised by it. That humor and just the jokes and off-witty comments, it pulls on to when they did the two South Park games. I'm like, this lines up with the humor they were doing in that a ton.
I didn't even know they did the South Park's game.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Fractured But Whole and Stick of Truth. That was Obsidian.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, I didn't play those when I wasn't into games in that level at that point. Wow, I didn't know that. You hear Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the
That's
one.
Obsidian. And then I'm like, Outer Worlds. There is a gap.
But
Fascinating, yeah.
it's funny. I've you probably had it too. There's a quest in that second section's main town where there's like a guard captain trying to find, or he has two soldiers that keep running off together, and it gives you four dialogue options of like innuendos of them hooking up. And I picked one. It was like, oh, they're running off and dipping their pen in the inkwell or whatever. And then it goes
Yeah.
off of like Marius makes an offhand comment about like them making the forbidden bear in the forest or four-legged creature in the forest. I'm like, what is happening? Why is this game so horny? Like,
Yeah, no, if you get into the dial, I got the same thing and I chose the same one. I was like, brilliant, brilliant. They're just like, yeah, these guards are in the forest a banging. Let's not say it. Great. Yeah, the writing and the comedy definitely is landing way more than comparisons here than Dragon Age did. They definitely seem different directions for sure in the writing. It's landing more so. Have you gotten any of the ancient memories throughout the worlds?
I've gotten two so far.
Okay, I have two as well. So I think we had gotten the same info lore wise about that. Fascinating.
It's
Those
weird.
systems where you get there's these random visions, like a little ball of light you go up to, and then you are remembering and you're talking to the voice, and there's some weird whatever. It's the main story stuff is going on here. But this is where I was like, oh, I see Pentiment in this. These dialogue choices in this tree, that this narrative, especially the second one, I was like, this is a narrative. I am making choices here and I don't know where they're going to go. I don't understand what I'm doing. And I loved it. I loved it. Whereas what happened? How am I supposed to know? It's great. You're choosing your own adventure. I'm very intrigued to see where that all ends up and what that influences because yeah, I mean, one of them, you get to choose who a person is to you and they're all different. And that definitely changes the context of the rest of that story. So very intrigued to see where that goes. But Obsidian is easily probably one of my favorite developers now. I haven't had many instances of playing a game where I'm like, I see where the through line from Grounded to here. I see the through line from Pentiment to here. And I guess Stick of Truth too a little bit. They have some humor in that. I mean, that also ties into Pentiment and all that. So Obsidian is easily become one of my favorite developers, and just to see the through line between their projects and here, I'm like, this is dope. This is cool.
Yeah, those memories. The second one I found I think it's the one you just mentioned where you're picking what this person is to. Is it the one at the top of like a tower in the second area?
Yeah.
Yeah, that honestly has my attention more than the main story so far, just because it is so open ended, and I'm curious on how they kind of tie that together. Because right now it feels almost like a choose your own adventure book for the actual
Yeah.
main story of the game, but not what's happening now. It's like in the past and past lives and stuff. So it's like, are those choices you're making, is that actually going to be established in your world as actual lore? Or is it just kind of smoke and mirrors from the actual truth type thing? So I'm curious and very
Yeah.
intrigued on how that all rolls out later on.
Yeah, I have theories, which I don't want to get into on this because that's spoilery. But as long as there's a payoff where, they intertwine, that's what I desire, right? And how in depth and how complicated that intertwinedness is, we'll see. But yeah, I so far it's like, oh, I see how these two paths, the main, the main narrative of you playing and such, and then this memory, I see how those diverge, and that's very fascinating. So I can't wait to find more. I stumbled upon the second one, and my wife was watching. Hannah, she was watching with me, and we both were like, "What?" And then as we're reading the dialogue options, we're like, "What? This is wild! Like how? Like so many. I want to do so many of these choices because, whoa, man, what a like." The little narrative we ended up creating there was heartbreaking, just like tragic and beautiful. I can't wait to keep playing and find more of those and see where that ends up.
Do you remember which background you picked at the beginning?
Vanguard Scout. I went Ranger, baby.
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
was
so
out in
that's.
the wilderness.
I'm curious that you've had different thoughts on Marius then, because with me, I also went Vanguard Scout. Um, it seems like almost every dialogue has a Vanguard Scout option that I've been picking just to stick with my class or lore or whatever. But a lot of that it leads to either bickering or like slight arguments or like different takes on an outcome with Marius because he's also under that class and how he carries himself. So it's like you guys are kind of, at least for me with those options, has been bouncing knowledge off each other or comparing like stories or stuff as far as dialogue choices. So I've honestly
That's
had
interesting.
more of a connection with him so far than Kai as far as my own playthrough goes.
Huh. That's funny. We chose the same class or background there. Yeah, he's done that before, and I thought it was funny because I'm like, oh, we're just like basically comparing dick sizes about being like a vanguard. Like I did the outdoors better than you, and it's like, oh, that's funny, and that just seemed to stop. I don't choose vanguard every time, but when it makes sense, like I do, and what I want to say in those situations, I do end up using it a lot because that makes sense to me. I agree with what that dialogue is. But yeah, I haven't had too much. Yeah, I wouldn't say enough to like where we are still actively bickering. To me, more so, Marius has slinked to the back and more so been talking with Kai. Like they've been more having interactions than he's saying stuff with me. When I've made a big decision or something's happened in the story and they go, come back and talk to us, or they like pull out of the dialogue and you see both of them and they give their opinion on the moment. They usually are agreeing. So it's like, all right, thanks, Marius, for your opinion. You just agreed with what Kai already said in depth. So that's unfortunate for you.
It's I'm having fun. One of my friends messaged me yesterday and he saw me playing and asked what my thoughts on it so far were. And it's I told him I was like playing through Game Pass, as I'm sure a lot of people are, but I would not be disappointed or upset if I dropped the full price to actually buy this when it launched. Like this is I've seen a lot of the stuff people are comparing it to Skyrim for some reason or just expecting more from it like I was at the start, how I said I had high expectations, but when you realize what this is, I'm this for me personally right now is above Outer Worlds. I mentioned before Outer Worlds didn't fully click for me in the way they do things, the smaller maps, which I love Avowed. They're like, oh, we're gonna be smaller maps like Outer Worlds is, still absolutely massive. That first area I've spent most of my time, and I'm probably only an hour or so far into the second region so far, which looks bigger by scope. So
Yeah,
you
I've
still
gone to the second reason and gone back because I was like, I got to go back and do more of these things.
I feel I need to right now. The difficulties hit me, and I'm just being brick walled, which I was expecting to. Again, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be a fun thing." I was not expecting this to be a difficult game, and I have died more often than not in most fights. Just either positioning or whatever it is, lack of resources.
Yeah, certain attacks that like just get you more so than other ones. Like there's this lightning thing and this Delamain, not Delamain, that's Cyberpunk, but something of that nature. Just from range, just 3, 4 lightning bolts, and it's like I see him coming. I'm like, no, I'm like 4 or 5 times it took me to beat that bounty because of that one person just with that range attack. Crazy. I do want to talk real quick about like the maps and like in comparison to Outer Worlds because I loved Outer Worlds. I stand like Outer Worlds is great. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Again, Obsidian makes these games that are within their scope and they know what they're doing and they don't go outside of that. They know what to leave on the cutting room floor. They know what to not overproduce because it's not necessary. And like from Outer Worlds to here, the map sizes particularly are like so awesome because in Outer Worlds it definitely felt like, and you're on a barren space planet, right? There is credence to make that make sense, but it felt like, oh, I'm at the city. I got to go over to this other point. All right, time to walk across the barren wasteland of a planet. Just like it felt empty, and again, it makes sense for a space planet, but like it just didn't feel lived in. The world felt a little lackluster until you were in the cities, and even then, like it was fine, right? In Avowed, though, the way they mix the zones, get like specifically each open zone, the way the city is mixed within the world itself, and visually walking up to the walled giant walled city in the first region, it doesn't feel like I am walking into a loaded zone so much as Outer Worlds did. Again, they're like walled off as well in Outer Worlds, so visually you can't really see in. Here you can, and that's also the engine and what they've done with Unreal 5. But I think having these open zones, they just feel so much more natural and alive and just full, as opposed to what Outer Worlds definitely felt like an open zone. It's not open world, it's open zone. It's like, oh yeah, I feel that. This is awesome. Honestly, it's like two open world zones so far, and it just feels curated, lived in. It's amazing. Like I just the difference in what Outer Worlds level design and Avowed is such a step forward, and it's like that's awesome. It's I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up because I was gonna forget otherwise. But yeah, it's very everywhere you go. If you again the verticality of it that I mentioned at the start, you see a high cliff. If you climb up there, there's more often than not going to be something for the player, whether it be a chest, a loot box, some sort of encounter, some sort of world building lore, or a piece for the totems. Like they reward you for that exploration and spending time in the areas they've created. And it feels, I think that's why it hits for me so much more. Like you said with Outer Worlds, is more barren, more open, more walking from point A to B. Where this, it feels like you're exploring more so than traversing. You're
Mm-hmm.
exploring these ancient ruins, and oh, I fell down here, but there's a door that's barred, so if I look around, you'll come across a different side. Or even just farms in that second area, I found one where the door is barred, and like, oh, you can break in through a side window, and someone died in
Honestly,
here. There's so much built upon with untold stories that it's not a quest. It's not a reason to go visit this area or point A to point B, but taking time to get in there, it gives you something that feels rewarding and builds lore wise and background story to where you're at.
oh yeah, there's usually always a chest or something at the end of a thing or a pathway to something else. And you're like, oh, cool. Very smartly designed. And honestly, like, compare it to Grounded, right? The Grounded was just one backyard and you were small and there was things all over the place because it was a survival game. I'm like, they have the chops for this. And again, you see the through line, at least that's how I'm seeing it, of how they got grounded to a point where like, yeah, it's a survival game. There's a lot to do within that game. There's a lot to do in these zones of Avowed. There's a lot to explore. There's payoff. It's intricately designed. I mean, bringing up like Starfield and like the procedural stuff, right? Everyone's like, this is definitely not procedural. It doesn't feel that way. It feels crafted. Yeah, like that is such a shining part of Avowed right there.
With that, I feel like that's a good place to cap off the discussion for now. Unless you got anything else, but Avowed, for me personally, high recommendation across the board, not even just being, oh, I'm Xbox focused, whatever. Like this is a solid RPG, a solid experience, a solid combat, visually stunning thing to see. Even if you just spend some time into it and get a feel of the visuals happening, like you said, Unreal Engine 5 is a huge part of that. Game looks absolutely beautiful. Um,
What are you playing on, quality or performance?
Quality, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not. I usually don't go performance, so that's why I'm saying that. I don't dropping to 30 frames or less than 30 frames is something I usually don't care less about. Like it happens, it's games. I'm not trying to min max my experience with stuff like that. So I'm usually quality.
Cool. I've done more performance. Both look good.
Yeah, they look great.
That draw distance.
Yeah, that's solid. I'm happy it's here. I'm happy that this, like I said, after I went through that initial kind of reviewing it in different eyes sort of thing, having a blast. I will be so curious to see where, like I said, this falls in the end of the year for me.
Yeah.
Are you rolling credits at this point? Are you getting the until
Why
April?
wouldn't I?
I don't.
Well, of course. I want to. I'll have credits rolled before next week, and I'll have a second character started.
Dang.
My guy.
I need to put down the.
I gotta do an evil run, all magic, no question. You know, all magic. Yeah. Definitely planning on beating this and talking more about that because I got it. Yeah, the story has finally got me, and I got to see where it ends up.
Good. Obsidian need a good round of applause. Kudos to you guys over there. Brilliant game. Worth the wait. Whether don't listen to people online who are nitpicking everything.
No, they know. People online are such a small fraction of people who play games.
I know. I saw a TikTok that was like, "This game don't got fish in it. It's bad. They don't put detail into fish." I'm like, "Fuck you! Like, come on."
I was like, okay, hey, can I fish? No, all right, move on. It's not a game to fish. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, not even that. Like
We
when you
love
get in
to
the water,
criticize
there's no
developers
fish
for.
swimming around.
It's so funny to criticize something because it's something that it's not.
Yeah,
Right? Like to a certain degree, it's like it's not what it is. It wasn't Skyrim. I think that's silly, and we got to stop acknowledging people who want to make arguments like that because it's just you just go, okay, little kid, all right, okay, I've dealt with middle schoolers. You just go, okay, they'll stop because no one will listen.
No, it feels like
Anyways,
a second wave backlash from like Starfield needs to be the biggest thing Xbox has. Now it's like that just goes to every game now since. And if it doesn't
I'm like,
reach
this is
ungodly expectations, failure.
I'm like, if you've played Obsidian games, this is clearly the best game they've ever made. It just their growth, their expertise has just been better and better and better. And this is an excellent evolution of what they do at Obsidian. You can't be mad about that.
No, it's what Paris Lily's the one who said Obsidian's probably the greatest pull Xbox could have got as far as
hard to
ownership goes. Which it's showing.
It's hard to disagree with that right now because their whole catalog.
Yeah, and just being a workhorse, they're like the Insomniac for Xbox, and just the rate they're putting out titles, both large and small. We talked at the beginning of the year, even with Game Awards happening and Outer Worlds 2 getting a 2025 release date. Like if they do manage to pop off, wild.
If we get Outer Worlds this year, that'd be crazy. I'd be crazy. I really think they're. I don't know why they. I mean, I get. Hey, if that was the original date, it makes sense of how this last year, Outer Worlds 2 this year. That makes sense. But man, I mean, I wonder if they move it. But they keep it. I'm down because I would love Outer Worlds 2 this year because this has been great. Let's see what you got with Outer Worlds 2.
Which we can talk about that next week because that was going to be a backup topic for this week that I had in my pocket. But we'll save that for episode 59 for you guys to tune into next week. Same time, same place. Twitch.tv/BadlandsBacklogs. Kyle, what do you got going on this week? Wrestling? More Sea of Thieves streams?
We're inching onto Elimination Chamber, and I got stuff to say, so that's interesting. Oh my god, we didn't even talk about Dwayne. Oh my god.
I haven't seen anything of his appearance there. I saw that they announced he was going to be there, and I've seen nothing but negativity since. What happened?
You have to watch this promo. It's probably the worst. It's the worst promo he's ever done, and one of the worst promos ever done. It just made no sense. This guy drank so much Terravana, whatever his tequila's called. He drank way too much tequila. Or he's the smartest fucking person, and he's bringing in the political climate directly into the WWE, and we are not even seeing it. That's where I'm at with wrestling.
Tangential.
You gotta watch this promo.
Catch it on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, and then finishing more Avowed, and I don't know if we'll get into Sea of Thieves this week, but I'm kind of down to. So
I'm around. I'm not on call this week. I'm free every night. Someone says Sea of Thieves, I'm there. Even this week, I was like, we play on now today, and I was like, this time works. And then I got down, I sat down, like, oh, this was a bad decision. I'm gonna be up late as shit. I work in the morning. Still had a great time.
I know. I was like, where this is going for a while, but anyways, now we're just rambling.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. Follow us along on the socials. Kyle the Do, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all the places. Badlands
Blue
back.
Sky.
Blue Sky. Blue Sky. I forget about
Yeah,
Blue
Twitter
Sky.
sucks.
X. It's X. Badlands backlogs for me everywhere. Check out YouTube had a resurgence this week. I don't know. We got our Rift of the Necro Dancer review over there. We got our state of play reactions we did together over there. We got my initial things for season 15 of Sea of Thieves over there if you want to get preview of that before we actually played. Thank you all for joining us. As always, been a pleasure. Been fun. Glad we had this discussion. We'll catch you all next Sunday.